So one of the things that I'd really like to hear from you about is, I think it's fair to say that you're a kind of a traditionalist guy. Does that seem sort of right?
Yeah, non-traditional, traditionalist.
That's cool. Yeah. How do you see yourself as a non-traditional traditionalist?
A lot of the things that I do living just day to day, I can say that, I do things that are traditional, like when need be, I do the cedar. I go to water and other stuff like that. Most traditional people do. But then, I'm half the time I'm on Facebook,
Yeah.
working on computer. Uh, like you said, writing on a story or writing on a novel. So I'm a non-traditional traditionalist, so.
I think that's cool. I like the way that you put it there. And that's one of the things that we've heard from a lot of people when we've been talking around here. It seems like people aren't too worried about contradictions
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah. As Gaduas, we tend to be able to blend in with our surroundings. That is one of the things that we have learned to do over the years, is to be a part of society, but still be able to keep our own individual identities. So, and that's another facet of being a non-traditional traditionalist.
Yeah.
So.
I think you could maybe describe a lot of your literary work in the same way. Could you talk a little bit about the books that you've written?
Sure. The books I've written, what I have done most of the time is I've taken old myths and legends and brought them up to date and write about how people would react to them today. The one I started with is called Coilan the Ravenmocker, and it's about a mean cannibalistic shape-shifting medicine man. And one is around in modern times, and a group of traditionalist and Christian people, they get together and fight him. And then another novel that I've written is about a Uktan. A lot of people call him Uktana, uh, but it's been described as the Cherokee version of a dragon, a huge snake with horns, one crystal horn in its forehead. And I brought that back, and have him roaming around during modern days, and write about how people reacted to that. And so that's what I usually do in my books. There are a couple that I've written that is just fanciful, things that I've thought of that I thought would be fun to write about. And one is sort of a science fiction one, but the characters in all of them,
That's something in the light
yeah,
that you're thinking
something
of?
in the light,
Hmm.
yeah, a science fiction one. What happens is this strange light comes to Earth and blends different dimensions together, and there's these unseen things when you're in the light, and they go after you. But in all my books, I do have Gadua people in it, whether they are Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma members or United Katua members, or even the Eastern Band. There's always those people. Those are the main ones. Those are the main characters. I write for our people. When I first started writing, what compelled me to start writing was I was out looking for uh, books that featured not just any American Indian, but specifically Cherokee people or Gadua people. And there was none out there. And then it finally came to me, why don't you just write your own, And so I started doing that, and people liked it,
Yeah.
So it got to the point where there was such a demand for it, I haven't been able to do my own publishing on them anymore. Uh, right now, currently, I am in the works of trying to get a deal going with a publishing company,
Hmm.
and so hopefully maybe even within this month, I'll be able to get uh, one of my books out.
Oh, yeah, that'd be
So
great.
yeah, so. Uh, It's called Red Eye,
Yeah.
and it's a book about vampires, uh, but of course in my case, Gadua vampires.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, and it started out as one book, and it's currently turned into a trilogy now. Uh, the one book, a lot of people said I didn't answer some questions in it, and they were still wondering, so that compelled me to write book two, and I'm currently writing on book three.
All right.
But the first book, Red Eye, hopefully we should come out maybe within a month.
Oh, that's cool. So
Yeah.
people need to be keeping their eyes out for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Good.
think so.
All right. Yeah.
Hopefully.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. I mean, I read a lot of books. It's sort of my job. But I remember the first time that I read Colon. I was staying out here. I'm not from around here, but I was reading it when I was out here staying and reading it at night, kind of by myself. And you're describing places right outside the window. Only it's full of a cannibal that'll eat your liver.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm not afraid to admit I got a little freaked out.
Well,
I'm not used to that, but yeah,
yeah,
you,
yeah.
you got a way to make that happen.
Yeah, a couple of years after I wrote the book, somebody came up with the idea. Yeah, well, I had a man that was trying to peddle my story to some production companies because they thought it'd make a good movie. Finally, some actual American Indian producers and directors I talked to said you should make it yourself. They said because if Hollywood gets a hold of it, then they'll change it around to where, like I said, the heroes in my books are Gadua people. If Hollywood got a hold of it, they said they'd change it to where it'd be white people that were the heroes. And of course the uh, the Indians in it, would be the faithful companions or whatever. But but we decided to go ahead and make the movie ourselves, and it took us quite a while to do it because everybody was doing their own jobs and stuff. They had their own lives, and so we could only film like from Friday night to Sunday nights, and during the days, and it took us, I'd say about 9 months to
No
do it.
kidding.
Yeah, just filming on Fridays through Sundays. Finally, when we were getting so close to the end of filming it, everybody said, well, let's just go ahead and film every day, get this thing over with. And so we did, and I think we took about 2 weeks to finish it off. And
I've never gotten to see that. That's another one that I hope you'll be able to
yeah,
spread
well,
around a little.
they have a Native American film festival in Tulsa called Red Fork, and they've shown it there twice. The last time was a couple of years ago, and it surprised me that the film that we made had it sort of a cult following.
Yeah.
When they showed it, it was literally standing room only. There were so many people that had remembered seeing it when we
Uh-huh.
first uh, brought it together, and they wanted to see it again.
Yeah.
And what surprised me is a lot of people, they weren't Gadua people. I mean, they were like people, Cheyenne
Yeah.
there,
Huh.
Kiowas and other Native Americans. They all said that was one of the scariest movies they've ever seen, and that really made me laugh because people that weren't American Indians would come up to me and say, I didn't understand it, but the Kiowas or whatever they were, Creeks or whatever, they'd say that was one of the scariest movies they've seen because they
Yeah.
understood
Right.
the traditions that were
Right.
in it, and it is the uh, the colon, the Ravenlocker is still believed in today, and each tribe I believe has their own form of Ravenlocker.
Right. Yeah. The shapeshifters
Yeah, yeah,
and they
like the
come after you.
Navajos, they have their skinwalkers, and so I believe that was a subject that touched, you know,
Hmm.
across the nations.